Here we go, we're going live. Okay, can anybody hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
That's just, okay, we can hear both of us. Okay, we're good. Okay, so we're online. Hopefully we have some people online. Here we go, we're going live. If you're online, if you could type something in the window, and if you have any questions, ask them in the chat. Okay, can anybody hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I fixed the feedback loop. Okay, so hopefully you can still hear me, Tracy.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I had a audio feed that was unintended. So we have at least one viewer. We've got 2 viewers. Oh, okay, cool. Okay, we've got some people logging in, hopefully. Maybe we'll give it a few more minutes and then we'll start. We've got 3 viewers. If you guys are online, could type in the chat. You should see a chat window on the bottom right hand side and just say hi. That would be great if you can hear us. Okay, we've got 5 people watching. Okay, so shall we make a start, Tracy, and then we can
Yes.
um, get through the data, get through the info material. And I'll just type up that if anybody dials in late, there will be a recording on this link, so you'll be able to watch it back. Hey, Kelsey, we can see somebody saying hi. Welcome. So I guess welcome. This is our Road Rally Novice meeting. You got myself, Rick Senior, and Tracy Ketch, who will be doing the quick intro of how to do a road rally. So if you've never done a road rally before, this is how you do it. So what we're going to cover is quick intro. We're going to go over road rally safety. That's really very important. We want these events to be really safe. Go over how to read route instructions, FAQ, route directions, where we're going to start and how they work, what to expect on the day of the event, how Richer works, time allowances. We'll go into those a little bit, and then closing. So if anybody has any questions, just ask away online, and I'll try and answer them live. So road rally, what is it? So really, it's a drive. It's about having fun with friends. It's it can get quite stressful at times, and so um, yeah, I'd say keep it fun. Remember that it's it's about having fun. So it's nice to get low scores, but it's not the end of the world if you get a high one. And typically on your first road rally, I'd expect a pretty high score. It's going to be could potentially be in the 600s. That's could be 600 seconds that um, you've left on the road. So that's the accumulation of the time that you were number of seconds that you were late to each checkpoint. So if you're late to each checkpoint by 60 seconds and there's 10 checkpoints, you'll get a score of 600. It's kind of like playing golf. The lower the score, the better you're doing. So what we do in these are a Monte Carlo format of road rally. So it's a time, we call it time, speed, distance, but really all we're doing is time and distance, and the speed you have to derive yourself. So we give you route instructions that guide you from the start to the finish. It's all driven by mileage. So we want you to travel a certain amount of miles so that you arrive at a specific time for each checkpoint. And so the goal is to arrive at each checkpoint at precisely the correct time. And like I said, you get a total score, which is the sum of the early and late arrivals at a checkpoint. So if you arrive 10 seconds early or 10 seconds late, you get a score of 10. Person with the lowest score wins in each group. And we have this thing called time allowances that allow you to correct for if you get delayed on the route. If you arrive at the checkpoint early, that's 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 not something that can be corrected. But time allowances allow you to correct for traffic delays, and these are really meant to, the purpose is safety. We don't want people having to speed to a checkpoint to get there on time, and so you can apply a time allowance. And it's an honor system, so it's which is okay. They work very well. Okay, if we go to the next slide. So on the road, safety. So you do need a driver and a navigator. There's a lot, the workload is high, and you can't have one driver reading the instructions and driving. It's too much work. So the navigator provides the information, manages time allowances, and the driver just really drives on the road based on the navigator's input. So all our courses are designed for road legal speeds. So you shouldn't need to speed, and time allowances basically allow you to not speed, and there's no need to speed on these courses. So, and also don't go excessively slow or stop to make checkpoint times. We don't recommend arriving to checkpoint early and creeping up because it becomes a safety issue. If you're slowing down traffic or you're driving erratically, that's going to be a safety issue. So yeah, please don't do that. Time allowances. So you can, once you've applied an initial time allowance, and Tracy's going to go into this in some more detail, you can add and subtract time allowances. The initial time allowance can only be positive, though, if I've got that right. But Tracy will go into details in a minute. And then we still do have COVID safety protocols. So if you're COVID conscious, these events are great. You can stay in your car. We do everything online. Although we do have a finish at a brewery, that's completely optional. It's up to you. So hopefully we cater to everybody. Okay, next slide. Okay, so these are the route instructions, example route instructions. So they might look a little complex at first, but hopefully they'll become simple as you see them. So if we start at the top left, you've got the RI, so route instruction. So each line in the table has a route instruction, and this is just for your own reference. Route instruction 11 is what the idea there is that it's 5.2 miles from the start, the previous start. And on the very right hand side, you can see that at route instruction 11, which is 5.2 miles from the start, there's a sign telling you what to do. So you need to turn left after the sign. Now, each route instruction can also have an optional checkpoint. So the checkpoints we don't put on junctions because that would be a safety issue. So checkpoints are normally on a pretty long straight part of the road. And an example checkpoint is on route instruction number 12. So you can see at 5.49 miles after the previous start, um, we expect you to arrive at 8:30 a.m., 8:38 a.m. and 5 seconds at checkpoint number 5. And there'll be a sign there. You should see it. There'll be a left arrow sign on the side of the road. Now, you might wonder why we have a time there of 8:38:05. We can't have all the cars arriving at that time. So what you do is you take your car number, which is allocated to you, and you might be car 10, and if so, your arrival time would be 8:48:05. So basically add your car number in minutes to that key time, to all the key times. Now, if we progress on to route instruction number 16, these are the special ones. These are the restarts. This is where you're going to stop and then start, so restart. So route instruction number 16 is 10.3 miles from the previous restart. And that mileage is given so you know where the restart is. And so I'd recommend using your odometer on the car, or even better, a GPS odometer on your phone. I think you can find those for both iPhones and Android phones as these GPS odometers. So route instruction number 16, you're going to arrive at 8:44. The arrival time doesn't matter. The arrival and departure times for restarts is not important. And then at 8:49:50 or thereabouts, plus your car number in minutes, you're going to depart. And when you depart, or before you depart, you need to make sure you zero your odometer to 0.00. And that is checkpoint number 8, and away you go. If I think hopefully I've covered everything there. Did I miss anything, Tracy, or are we?
No, I think we're good.
Yeah. And I think, okay. Yeah, just on that previous slide, just to make sure those mileages are incremental from each restart, not from the previous checkpoint. So, so between checkpoint 11 and 12, you travel, okay, do the math in my head, 0.29 of a mile. They're not 5 miles apart. So at checkpoint 11 is 5.2 miles from the start, from the previous restart. Checkpoint 12 is another 0.2 miles, 0.2 miles down the road at 5.49 miles. Okay, maybe next slide. Okay, so FAQs. So we've got the route instructions. You'll need to print those and bring those with you. We'll email them out on the Thursday night. We don't have copies at the start location. Email us if that's a problem. You don't need a helmet. All these events are driven at normal. It's just like driving down the road at road legal speeds. No helmets. On restarts, the key time is indicated for restarts is the time you should depart that location. So there's no score associated with the start and restart checkpoints. So the time you arrive and the time you leave needs to be approximately right, but not exactly right. And then don't forget to reset your odometer. You don't need numbers on the side of your car. And when you check in with the rally volunteers at the start, you'll give us your car number and we'll let you know when to stage. And am I about to hand it over to you, Tracy?
Yes. Or I think you've got one more thing to do here for sure.
Okay. So start and route directions. Yeah, so you start time is the start time on the route instructions plus your car number in minutes. So I think for this next event, the start time on the route instructions is at 8 a.m., but we'll probably start allocating car numbers from car numbers 30 onwards. So if you're car number 30, your start time will be 8:30 a.m. If you could arrive at the start about 10 to 15 minutes before the start time, so we don't have lots of cars at the start, that would be great. And about 5 minutes before the start, check in with the starter and we'll point you in the right direction. Route directions, checkpoint, and restart times are listed on your route instructions. So you need to always add your car numbers to those, so don't forget. Okay, next slide. Is this also mine? So day of the event. So make sure your phone is charged. The app, the competitor app, the richer app that's installed on your phone, your phone's going to be on for 2.5 hours or so. So you need to make sure your battery's charged, and I would recommend having a charging cable hooked up to it. You'll need the route instructions, a pen and a clipboard, a full tank of gas, um, and then at the start location, open the competitor app, and the start is a start, so the actual start time doesn't matter. So I would say as soon as you start, as soon as you arrive at the start location, open the application, drive through the first checkpoint, and make sure the richer app beeps and recognizes that you're actually at the start location. And if there's a problem, don't panic. Return back to the um, helpers. We'll have yellow vests on, and we'll get you going. Worst case scenario, we'll give you a new car number, so we have some more time to go fix the issues. Okay, next slide. So troubleshooting and problem solving. Yeah, so we have the biggest issue really is the phone. When you install the Richer app, it's going to ask for GPS permissions, and you need to give it the GPS permissions, otherwise it won't be able to tell where you are. So if you have a problem with that, and it's on the Richer app, you'll see, hopefully there'll be a screen later that will show your GPS accuracy. If it's not telling you that GPS accuracy is, I think, 15 feet or less, then yeah, come see us on the day of the event. Arrive a few minutes early, and we'll fix it. If you get lost, email your car number, name, and cell phone to the email address there. If your phone rings during the event, answer it. We'll either be calling you or more likely texting you to tell you that you've gone off track, and we'll give you directions on how to get back on track. And use time allowances to correct for delays en route to the next checkpoint. And phones. Oh yeah, if you go past a checkpoint and your phone doesn't record the checkpoint time, and this sometimes happens, maybe your phone dies, or just manually record the time, and we'll go fix it up later. It's all based on trust, so yeah, record the time you passed approximately, and we'll fix it up later. And just email us the information later on. Okay, next slide.
All right. Thanks, Rick.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, everybody. Glad you all could join us. We're going to spend some time talking about the Rick app, which is the app that we use. This is where we're going to be able to kind of work our way through the checkpoints. We're also going to talk about time allowances here. So for those of you that may be used or new to this particular app and or using time allowances, I will tell you now, don't panic. It may sound confusing if you've not seen it before, but I will tell you that once you get out there and you have a chance to try it, it does start to make more sense. So again, we'll have a lot of volunteers on the site. We will ask you as you kind of pull up as we're staging you and getting you ready to begin the road rally. We'll check and make sure that your clock is running. We'll also make sure you've got a GPS signal. We want to make sure that that's very good. Rick just mentioned kind of doing a loop around and kind of checking the first checkpoint. Usually it's a stop sign or something where we're all kind of gathering, and it should be. One tip for iPhone users that we've heard from various people is make sure you enable the sound with the physical silence switch on the side of the phone, because during the rally, you definitely want to make sure that you're hearing the beeps. That lets you know that you are in fact on track and you have passed the correct checkpoint versus maybe another sign that's on a different route and not on our rally. All right, time allowances. We alluded to this a little bit earlier. Rick did a good job covering it. But we've got time allowances. Remember that we are driving on public roads, and in the San Diego County area, we spend a lot of time driving sort of in the Eastern County, low mountain area. There's a lot of things going on out there, and sometimes the roads are very small, and sometimes it takes a while to kind of get back on track. So time allowances are really designed to handle delays and late arrival. Now remember, they can't correct for earlier than the key time in your instructions. Rick kind of alluded to that a little bit earlier, and we'll walk through an example here to make it a little bit more lifelike for you here. So remember, there isn't any penalties to use time allowances in road rally, and they can help you, especially with slow moving vehicles or if you get trapped behind a non moving light. So when you're thinking about using time allowances, just remember that they have to be applied before you get to the checkpoint. So for example, as you're coming through a light and it just went red and it's going very, very slow, and the checkpoint is on the other side of that light, you still have time to use the time allowance because you haven't gotten to the checkpoint yet. Now remember, once you do trigger the time allowance, this is going to apply to all subsequent checkpoints until your next restart. Kind of like when Rick was spending time going over the mileage, there will be points where we do restart and it kind of resets. So there's two buttons that you'll see there on your screen in green. There is a TA plus and a TA minus. Now the TA plus is used to achieve the desired correction for our late arrival to a checkpoint time. But let's say, for example, with my example of getting to a slow traffic light, let's say that you think that you're going to be trapped behind that same slow moving traffic light, and all of a sudden it has speeded up. So you're going to actually be okay. So you use a TA minus if you've overcorrected with a TA plus. So this basically means that you're not going to be as late to the next checkpoint after using the TA plus. All right. When we talk about some of the time allowance increments here, remember a few things. And again, for the first time allowance, when you hit it, it's going to add 10 seconds. And this is going to give you a 10-second correction. The second time you hit the time allowance plus, it's going to add another 10 seconds, bringing you up to, yes, that math is correct, 20-second correction. And it goes on along this schedule that you can see here. However, there's a big jump between the third and the fourth time allowance. Once you do trigger that fourth time allowance plus, it's going to kick it up to 60-second added, which is a total of 1 minute 30 time correction. So once you get to that fifth time allowance and beyond that, then it's basically going to add an additional 60 seconds. It will take you up to a max of 19 minutes and 30 seconds. Now, that's obviously if you're going from checkpoint to checkpoint. And when you get to the next course reset point, the time allowances, again, will zero out and they're going to start over for the next leg. So if you did some correction that did not pan out really well, don't worry about it. We do have several points where we do zero out, so you'll have a chance to kind of start over from those. Now remember, these time increments that you see here, these 10 seconds and these 60 seconds, these are not designed by us. This is part of the app. So this is something that's built in. We do just share this out, but we have no control over changing that time. So it is kind of how you see here. All right. We had a really fun road rally that was called It's a Pie Run. Which, for those of you familiar with San Diego, ended, of course, at the Julian Pie Company, which had some awesome pie. So we want to walk through an example of using a time allowance plus when you know you're going to be late to a checkpoint. So again, remember, you can use this before you get to the designated checkpoint. So what you'll do is you'll press TA plus to add in 10-second increments the approximate amount of time that you're going to be late. So if you view the time allowance, there's a little picture here to the right, to view the amount of time added. So we've added 30 seconds here. Again, so our target to get to a checkpoint is 12:35. But due to traffic, you're not going to get there until 12:35 and 28 seconds, which is 28 seconds too late. So before you get to that checkpoint, hit the TA plus on the app 3 times to add 30 seconds. Remember, when we're looking at the table, at this level, it's 10-second increments. So now, as a result, your new target time to arrive at the checkpoint is 12:35 and 30 seconds. You can slow your average speed slightly to arrive, 30 versus 28 seconds late. But that's an example in terms of how you would use the TA plus. All right, so using kind of our same road rally example here, what happens if you've made up the time before the next checkpoint, Todd? Oops, okay, what can we do? So we can use the TA minus at that point in time. So you can help to basically claw back, take back a little bit of the time that you just took with the TA minus. So again, remember, you still can't correct for an earlier arrival than the designated checkpoint time on the route instructions. But what you can do is referencing back our most recent example, we took a 30-second time allowance plus at the last checkpoint. But now we expect to arrive only 18 seconds late to the next checkpoint, according to the key time on our route instructions. Okay, so what can we do here? Now, before we get to the checkpoint, and again, remember, you always have to trigger time allowances before the checkpoint. Hit the TA minus once. That's going to remove a block of 10-second time. That's going to bring your time allowance back down to 20 seconds. So you arrive at the checkpoint 20 seconds later than the key time, which is on your route instructions. Just remember, though, you can't go below a 0.00 time allowance. So this does help us to make up a little bit of time overall. All right. So thanks everyone for joining us. We really are excited that you're going to be participating in the upcoming rally. We want to make sure that you have fun and that you are safe out there. If you don't have an email from us with your card number, let us know. We'll definitely make sure those get out next couple of days. And if you have any questions at all, you can email our secretary at sdr@scca.com. Remember that the focus is really to keep the speeds reasonable and safe for the roads and area. Some of the roads are highly traveled that we'll rally on, and some of them are not. We just have to keep that in mind. It is a rally and it is a competition, but it's not a race. For those of you that are new, we do suggest you try out some of the time allowances. It, again, once you do it a few times, makes it a little bit easier. But if you're nervous about that, don't worry about it. You'll get there. We hope you can stop by and meet all the rally participants and the volunteers at the social event at the end of the race. All right. So, Rick, I think we're all geared up with our novices here. We are ready to drive.
Yeah, so I think one slight point, the car numbers haven't been emailed out yet. Those will be emailed out probably early Monday, Tuesday. If you've not got it by Wednesday, then shoot us an email. Yeah, yeah,
Perfect.
and the route instructions will arrive on the Thursday night and before,
Perfect.
so you have time to print them. Okay, but thank you very much, Tracy. Other than that, I think if we have any questions, please ask away. We'll still be monitoring online. Send us an email. Whatever you want to do, we'll respond to your questions. Okay, I think we're good to go.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. I'll see
All
you
right.
soon.
Thanks. I'm going to send over some revisions in terms of the order.